Hey everyone, welcome back. In the last episode, I've run some capacity testing and noise testing for this Oliver 20-inch planer, model 4430. My goal was to see if this planer can actually take on a 20-inch wide piece, and overall I'm very happy with the result. As you can see, this is the before and the after picture of the countertop. Today, I'm going to turn this pile of scrap wood that is sitting in the garage into a cutting board that I can use every day. So on YouTube, I have seen people having great success making their own 3D cutting boards. And look, this is my own 3D cutting board. It's cool, right? You can feel the shape, the ridges, and the grooves of the board. I like it. Well, of course, we cannot use this board for cooking. So let's pass it through the planer and turn it back to 2D so we can use it as a real cutting board. So today's test is about quality of finish. And I want to figure out if more cutter inserts means higher quality. I have this 20-inch model and I have this 16-inch model. The 20-inch model has 68 cutter inserts with 4 rows of cutters. And the 16-inch model has 90 inserts and 5 rows of cutters. So which one performs better? We are going to use the cutting board to figure out. Okay, we got safety glasses on and here we go. Okay, as you can see, I have planed down most of the wood that is sticking out and only a few places is left. So you can see a mark in here and there's another mark on the other end. And I also noticed there is a little bit of tear out from this little piece of figured maple. So does it mean less cutter insert has less quality? Well, we'll see how things works out when we pass through this same board through the smaller 16-inch planer with more cutter inserts. Alright, moving on to the other side of the cutting board. There are some glue marks left, and I think that's it. I think one pass should be enough to get rid of all these imperfections. Okay, so just one pass and I got rid of all the glue. And just like the first side, on the same piece of wood there is some tear out. Let's see if it's actually the same. Oh yeah, it is the same. As I'm setting up the smaller planer for testing, I have other ideas of how to reduce the tear out. So as you can see, this planer is dual speed. And as I was rough planing the cutting board, I was running it at 20 feet per minute. So when I run the small planer, I'm going to run that at a slower feed rate, which is 16 feet per minute. And at the same time, the small planer has more cutter head insert compared to the big ones. So combining these two factors, I'm going to have a lot more cut per square inch of the cutting board. So hopefully that will reduce the tear out as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some water on the area that has tear out on one side and then leave the other side as is and see what's going to happen. So for the first test, we're just going to pass whatever as is through the smaller planer. So I try to feed the cutting board to the planer in 2 different directions. And for each pass, I can still notice a tiny little bit of tear out from the same piece of curly maple. So the only thing I can say is curly maple is really hard to deal with, regardless of what kind of planer we use. So I'm going to use some water to help soften the grain and pass it through the planer again. Alright, I put on some water Let's see if that helps. And I think the water does the trick. At least it does not cause more damage. So here is one spot that had the tear out. I'm not sure if you can see it with this little phone camera, but I can feel it. And this spot is a little bit bummed out, but at least I can sand it down later on. So that's good. And here is the same. It's just, it feels a little bit softer. There's no digging in, so I can sand it down with some sandpaper. All right, here we go. Hopefully this is the final pass. And as you can see, I flip it onto the other side, put on some water, and there's some tear outs here and there, mostly on the figure maple, which is really tricky to plane no matter what. Okay, so with the help of water, the result is consistent. I still get a little tiny bit of roughness in the problematic area, and I'm going to sand it down later on. So here's my finding after testing the two planers. In terms of quality of finish, I do not see a significant difference between the two. However, when I try to pass the cutting board through the smaller planer with more cutter inserts, I do notice the noise level is slightly lower compared to the 20-inch model with less cutter inserts. And that makes sense because there are more cutter inserts and each cutter insert is cutting a smaller piece of wood. So the noise level is supposed to be lower, and also each cutter insert is supposed to last longer because it is doing less work. So which planer do you like better so far? If you haven't decided yet, that's okay. I'm going to have more testing to compare between these two. Thanks for watching.